Hilo, Hawaii, although I was not born there. I was born in St. Louis, Missouri, and I moved to Hilo, Hawaii to teach at the University of Hawaii at Hilo in the art department in 1984. My father was himself a professional. He was a matchbook artist back in the 40s in St. Louis. He worked for Universal Match. In fact, he broke the color barrier there. And he had a couple of things working against him, African American, and also he was deaf. And so he had to work extremely hard to get himself positioned so that he could, you know, earn a living at what he did. But he managed to do it, and he was very good at what he did. And of course, as a young boy, I come from a family of 6. I'm the second oldest. I would watch him work. He would always bring home work over the weekend, and of course had a natural fascination for what my parent was doing. So I made a decision when I was graduating from high school that I would go study painting. And I wasn't really quite sure what that would mean for me. I had a reference point to commercial art, but as I advanced in my studies, I began to drift in a more individual, more expressionistic, if you will, direction. I've been actually very actively pursuing printmaking for the past couple of years, but the process that I've been involved in has been very different. I've been working doing intaglio-based monoprints where I use shapes as stencil forms on a surface that has a ground color, and from there I'll pull a series of prints in a session. And so this process has been very different for me and a great learning experience in that I'm having to take the image and develop it in a sequence of layers, and of course it requires that you think very differently about color and everything. So I'm learning a lot and having a good time at it. Well, I would always encourage the viewer just to try to spend time with the work and just enjoying the relationships, the shapes and the colors and so forth. But I can say that starting the print, the idea, just a generality, had to do with I was playing off of a saying that's attributed to the painter Francis Picabia, and that saying was, "Our heads are round so that our thoughts can change direction." And I don't know, I read that somewhere some years back, and I've always had a great kick in that saying, and it reminds me of when we were kids and the adults would tell you, you know, hey, don't be such a blockhead. And I laugh about that now because it's like when you have difficulties, most of the times that's what it is. You know, your thought is just kind of stuck in a corner. So what I wanted to do with this print, and there's some things in there. There are some skeletons of a figurative element. Actually, it was a photograph that I found of myself from when I was an undergraduate. I had this big afro, and it's a nice round kind of head form, and so I've tried to take a very minimal reference to that just as a parameter, and within it and around it to create these shapes and movements that change direction, and hopefully we'll find a equilibrium so that it can work as a visual piece and not just as a conceptual idea.